Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And what I have for you today is something a little bit different. I thought I would share with you 10 of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say that I am not really a fan of the term guilty pleasure because I don't think we should ever feel bad about anything we enjoy watching. And we should watch what we like and just enjoy it. But the reason I used it in the title is because for search purposes, that's what people look for when they're searching for videos like this. So that's the only reason I use the term. But it's not a term that I'm very fond of. But I am fond of these movies. And these are ones that were either, they scored poorly either on IMdB or Rotten Tomatoes. They were maybe 50-50 split with the crowd. A lot of times the crowd really couldn't stand them, but some of them are 50-50 split. And a lot of the critics who take things a little too seriously, I think sometimes, really bashed a lot of these. So I'm going to get right into it with my first one, and it is Cocaine Bear. And this is supposedly based on real events of a drug dealer who crashed his plane with his cocaine stash in it, and a bear got into the stash and went wild. So that's what we have, and the bear is high on cocaine, and he's just looking for more and more and more, and he is terrorizing people in the process. And I just think this is a blast. I think it's funny, I think it's silly, I think it's over the top, but I just enjoy it. And I know a lot of people found this to be completely ridiculous, and I understand that, but it's just one that I can put on, put my feet up, and laugh at a bear going wild, and horrible things happen because he is wasted and he's looking for more drugs. But Cocaine Bear is my first pick. Now, if you ever told me that I was going to enjoy this movie as much as I do, I probably enjoy it a little more than I should, I would have told you you were crazy, because when I heard it announced and I heard about it, I was like, I'm not even going to watch that. The next thing I know, it's in my favorite guilty pleasures pile. And it stars Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, and it is Rampage. I think this movie is just a blast. I have so much fun with this. I don't know what it is. What we have is we have these animals, and they're exposed to a pathogen, and it makes them gigantic, and they're ripping apart a city. I think it's Chicago, but they're ripping apart a city, and The Rock, of course, is coming in to save the day. But I just have so much fun with this. Is it silly? Yes. Is it ridiculous? Of course it's ridiculous that these giant animals are running around destroying a city, but it's a ton of fun, and I just have a really good time with it. And I think the girl is pretty cute. I forget his name, but I think he's pretty cute. But I mean, what's the difference? We love Godzilla, we love King Kong, we love all the big monster movies. So I don't know what's different about Rampage, but a lot of people really bashed this movie. They couldn't stand it, but I have a blast with it. So Rampage is the next one on my list. Now, this one surprised me. It surprises me that it gets the hate that it does. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but we love our shark movies, and I think this is one of the better bad shark movies. It's no Jaws. I mean, Jaws is in a league of its own, but we love shark movies. A lot of us watch bad shark movies, and I think this is one of the better ones. I love the cast. LL Cool J, Michael Rappaport, Samuel L. Jackson. It's Deep Blue Sea. Now, I've only seen the first one. I think there's two other ones, but this is the only one I've seen, and I just think this is so much fun. Is the CGI bad? Yes, it's terrible. It's terrible CGI. Is it an unbelievable story? Of course it is. You have these scientists working in a lab underwater, and they are trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's by using these sharks. And somehow these leaks happen, and the sharks get into the lab, and now these people are fighting for their lives because they're going to be eaten by these sharks who are swimming through the labs. And I just think it's a blast. And there's one scene in particular, if there are people who haven't seen it, don't ruin it in the comments, but I'll tell you, the first time I watched this and that particular scene happened, I was really shocked. It really did shock me, but I just think this is a fun one. And like I said, I think it's one of the better bad shark movies. And another one that I can recommend is called Bait. I believe it's an Australian film, but it's a similar premise, but they're trapped in a grocery store, and they're sitting on top of the refrigerators and whatnot, trying to escape the bad CGI sharks that are swimming through the supermarket. So if you want another good bad shark movie, check out Bait. But Deep Blue Sea is my next one. Now this one, I am not really surprised that people don't like it, because first of all, it's a Tim Burton movie, so that's going to take out the Tim Burton people, the people who don't care for Tim Burton films. But I think this film is so funny. It's a blast. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It has a great cast. Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Annette Bening, Pierce Brosnan, Danny DeVito, even Sarah Jessica Parker is in it, and a cute little chihuahua. And it is Mars Attacks. And I just think this is so much fun. It's silly. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It's a dark comedy. I just think everything about this is ridiculously fun. And I have fun every time I watch this. I laugh, laugh, laugh. And anyone I've shown it to who never saw it before, they laugh too. So I don't know, but there's a lot of hate for this out there. And I mean, I know there's not little Martians coming down to take over the White House and the Senate and Congress. I mean, not yet anyway. I mean, we've had everything else happen, but we haven't had little guys from Mars come in yet. But you never know. But I think this is a lot of fun, and I know it gets trashed in the comments. I saw some Reddit posts about it. People were just ripping this to shreds, saying it was the worst movie they ever saw. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Is it a little far-fetched? Of course it is, but I don't think it's the worst movie ever. I think it's a lot of fun, and Mars Attacks is my next guilty pleasure movie. Now this one, I know a lot of you will agree that it is a horrible movie, and I don't know, I think it's me and maybe 5 other people that enjoyed this movie, and I just liked it for what it was. I was very excited when I heard it was coming out, and I have to be honest, it was exactly what I expected it to be, and it is Rob Zombie's telling of The Munsters. Now, this was pretty much universally panned the very first day it was released, and it was a straight-to-video, never made it to the theaters, and people were just crushing it on social media. But do I think it's over the top? Yes. Do I think the acting was bad? It was horrible acting. It was way over the top with the acting. The story wasn't really great. It was okay. I mean, there were some things about it. There were some redeeming things about it. But I think that if you know the sitcom, I mean, I grew up with the sitcom. I watched it all the time. I think you kind of have to know what to expect. And this really didn't surprise me that it was so over the top, because I think the sitcom's a little over the top. But I don't think this was as horrible as everyone kind of set it out to be. I think once that train starts going where people really don't like something, I think it's really easy for people to start jumping on it. But I'm not saying that they're wrong, that it's not a great movie, but I have a really, really good time with this because The Munsters hold so much nostalgia for me that pretty much whatever he put out, unless it was just, I don't know, I'm not even going to get into it, but I'm going to stand up here on my hill and defend The Munsters for what it is. I just had a really good time with it. Do I think it would have benefited from being in black and white? I think more people would have had less of a problem with it had it been in black and white, but I believe he was told, and this is what I read, he was told that he couldn't do it in black and white. I don't know why, but I think it would have fared better had it been presented in black and white. Well, hopefully you're still here after my little Munsters chat. But my next movie, I have seen this movie more times than I can count. There was a while that it was on cable, I think every single day when it first came out. And I'm not sure the year that it came out. Oh, 1980. So I'm not even going to tell you what age I was at that time. But it is John Travolta in Urban Cowboy. And John Travolta plays a guy by the name of Bud who is living in Texas. He moves in with his aunt and uncle because they're able to get him work. And what they do is they take him to this bar called Gillies, which is a real bar in Texas. And they introduce him around, and he meets Deborah Winger's character, who her name is Sissy. And they end up getting married, and they're going to the bar every night. They're drinking, and there's all kinds of things going on. You know, if you're hanging out in a bar every night, you're going to end up fighting. And Bud is a little bit of a male chauvinist, and when the bar installs a mechanical bull, he wants to be the best bull rider in the bar, and he gets upset when his wife, Sissy, says she wants to ride the bull, and he insists it's not for girls, and off we go. It is silly, it is crazy, it's over the top. The story is just, it's exactly what you would expect it to be, but I don't know, something about this just sucks me in. The acting isn't great, the story, there's no big surprises. It's, like I said, it's exactly what you would expect it to be. It's a story about a couple in Texas hanging out in a bar and fighting, and I don't know, I just love it. I love this. I could quote every line in it, but I'll tell you, people really, they either love it or they hate it. The critics bashed it. They didn't like it. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad, but it had to go in the guilty pleasure category because it is not well received. It doesn't score great. The comments are mixed and the reviews aren't really that great, but I think it's a lot of fun. And one thing I did want to point out, this is the new Blu-ray that came out, I think, a year or two ago. And if you notice, John Travolta's holding his hand in a very weird position there. That hand there, right? And it is because Paramount, in all its infinite wisdom, decided that, now here's the original cover, and you can see he's holding a beer in his hand. That's a beer right there. Because what do you do in a bar? You drink beer. So they decided in all their infinite wisdom that it would be in poor taste to put a guy in a bar holding a beer. So that was my big beef when this came out. I'm like, why didn't they just do different cover art? There's so many cool scenes from the movie. They could have picked him riding the bull or something, and it would have made a better cover than this weird hand that's supposed to have a beer in it. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But Urban Cowboy, that is a movie that I really do enjoy. I could watch it anytime, anywhere. And so many of my friends, we all know every line to that movie. It's, I don't know, it's crazy, but it's not really very well received if you start doing a little research on it. And this is another one. This one, people either loved it or they hated it. It's a dark comedy. It has a great cast. Allison Janney is the lead, and I am a huge fan of her. And here's the cast. Allison Janney, Mila Kunis, Awkwafina, Wanda Sykes, Juliette Lewis, Samara Wiley, and Regina Hall. And it is breaking news in Yuba County. And this one came out in... I don't know. I can't read. You guys know my eyesight's terrible. I can never read the dates. But it came out a few years ago. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. But what we have is Allison Janney is a housewife and her husband dies. But she lets everyone believe that he has gone missing because what it is she is getting a lot of attention because people are looking for him. She's getting news coverage. She's getting attention, and she just loves it, and she's never had that before, so she just kind of rides it out, and she doesn't even worry about letting them know what really happened with her husband. And I just think this is such a fun movie. I think it's funny. I think the cast is great. I think they just pulled off the whole dark comedy thing great, and I just really enjoyed this. So imagine my surprise. I watched it without doing any research on it. I think it came in for review, and I watched it and didn't even look into it. And then I started hearing people talking about it. I started reading about it. I started reading reviews and looking at scores. People were trashing this movie, and I mean, like, really trashing it. Like, they hated it. And then there were people like me who thought it was really funny and a lot of fun. But let me know if you've seen Breaking News in Yuba County, what you thought of it, because I really don't think this is as bad as what people say it is, but it goes in the guilty pleasure pile because that's where it lands. It's not very well received, but I think this is a lot of fun, and I would say give it a try. I'm tentatively saying give it a try if you want to check out something different. And this next one, I was kind of surprised at the negative feedback that it got. I mean, there were some people who made some points that I think were justified, but a lot of people just they just flat out didn't like this movie because they just didn't like it. And it's Sandra Bullock in 28 Days. And in this, she plays a gal with an addiction problem, in particular drinking. She gets drunk at her sister's wedding and ruins the wedding, steals a limousine, crashes a limousine, and ends up doing a 28-day stint in a rehab. And I think this gets a lot of unnecessary hate for a lot of different reasons. But I think most of the reasons are kind of, I don't know, they just didn't like the movie. But I think the casting's really good. I think there's some really funny moments. I think there's some really heartfelt moments. I think there's a lot of sincerity in this one, and I just really enjoy it. I found it to be more light than what I expected it to be for the subject matter, and I think Sandra Bullock is fantastic in this. But what I did see is a lot of people who I think were justified in their complaint. They did not like that the people who did this movie made addiction and recovery out to be something that was to be made fun of. And that I do understand. I do I understand that and I respect that. There's nothing funny about addiction and recovery and whatnot, but they didn't make fun of it in a way that was meant to be hurtful. But I get their complaints with that one, but some people they just didn't like that they thought it was ridiculous, they thought it was unbelievable, they thought that things like this would never happen, the things that they show in the movie, they thought the characters were poorly developed, and they just didn't like it, and critics didn't like it either. But I don't know, I enjoy it. This is one that I put on and I enjoy it, and like I said, I think there's some really heartfelt moments. I think there's some funny things that go on. I think it's a way to bring a little bit of levity to a really tough situation. But for the people who didn't like it for the right reasons, I hear you, I see you, I respect that. But people who just plain didn't like it for whatever reason, I don't know, don't watch it. But I like 28 Days. I think it's a good one. And this one, I hear people refer to this as the ultimate stoner movie, and this is the, I guess, 15-year-old in me coming out, because I feel like I'm 15 when I watch this. And it's Beavis and Butthead Do America. And I remember when Beavis and Butthead first premiered on MTV, I was working in a bar at the time, and we would just drink and laugh and laugh and laugh because they were ridiculous. And I've even heard people say this is the ultimate stoner movie. I don't know about that, but people either love this or they hate it. The same with the program. They either love it or they think it is just unwatchable. And in this one, poor little Beavis and Butthead, their TV has been stolen, and they are going around America trying to find their TV because, as you know, if you watch the show, they can't be without their TV. And I just love this. I think it's so much better than the show. I'm a huge fan of the show to this day. I have all the seasons, and I just love that they got a movie, and I have a blast with it. I mean, it's Beavis and Butthead. What's not to like? It is silly, silly, over-the-top, ridiculous humor, and it makes me laugh, and that's all I need out of a movie like this. So that's Beavis and Butthead. Same with this last one. This scored so low. I was shocked. This, I think it got a 4.7 on IMdB out of 10, which is just horrible. And I don't think this is horrible. I think it's silly. I think it's goofy, but I love Eddie Murphy and I love the Klumps. It is Eddie Murphy in the Klumps, the Nutty Professor too. He plays all the characters. I think he is hilarious. There's a scene at an all-you-can-eat buffet which I die laughing every time I see it. I just love this. I like the Nutty Professor too, but the Klumps, I thought the Klumps was so much funnier than the Nutty Professor that he did. But I don't know, people really, really hated this. I was shocked when I saw the score on IMdB, and I was also shocked at the comments at how much people really hated this. I think Eddie Murphy is hilarious in this, and he's such a great character actor, and he just proves that in this film. Now, let me know in the comments, have you seen this? Did you like it? Do you think it's a 4 out of 10 or a 4.5 out of 10? Because I think it's better than that. I mean, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but I think it's funny and I think it's a lot of fun. And if I need a laugh, I put the Klumps in, and it never ever disappoints me. So that's that. But those are 10 of my guilty pleasure movies. If you like this, I will continue to do more because, believe me, I have plenty of bad movies that I can share with you that I enjoy. And I want to hear yours down in the comments. Tell me your guilty pleasure movies because I want to hear what you guys like to watch that other people can't stand. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you just laughed along with it and you got that the reason I was doing this is just to do something different and light. So thank you for watching. You know I appreciate every one of you who clicks on these videos and takes time out of your day to watch them. And I'm going to be back with some more stuff. We do collection overviews, we do hauls, we do film reviews, we do everything physical media here. So if you like that kind of material, it's not always like this, ridiculous, silly things like this, but I do everything physical media. If you like that kind of thing, consider subscribing, hit the bell notification, and I'm going to be back real soon. I got a new computer, so I'm going to be able to do a lot more fun things with editing. And to the person or people who recommended the Mac Mini, thank you so much. You saved me. So that's going to do it for me today. I'm going to go and do maybe some more guilty pleasure movie watching, and that's going to be it for me. So for now, that's a wrap.